It's time. It's time. Time to get in the zone. Time to get in the zone with the 49ers Web Zone. This is the No Huddle Podcast with Al, Zain, and Brian.
'49ers Web Zone, No Huddle Podcast, part of the Odyssey Network. I'm Al Sacco with Brian Renick and Zain Naqvi. We are beyond excited to start out with our guest today, who's a five-time Pro Bowler that rushed for 10,643 yards, gained 14,892 all-purpose yards, and when the lights were the brightest, he played his best, scoring 10 touchdowns in 7 playoff games with the 49ers, including 5 in the divisional round in the 1993 season and 3 more in Super Bowl 29. He is the great Ricky Watters. Ricky, thank you so much for the time.
Hey, say that again.
I could have kept going and going and going. I had to shorten it up.
No, I appreciate that for sure.
Oh, man, we appreciate you. You know, we all grew up huge Niner fans, so this is great for us. And we wanted to start out looking back on your career, Ricky. And Steve Young did an interview recently, and he was asked to compare you to Christian McCaffrey. And he said some things about you that really stuck out to me. He said, we all underappreciated him when he was with us. And when he was gone, it was like, oh, my gosh, he was great. And he called you the sauce of championships. What do you think it was about your game that made you such a perfect fit in that Mike Shanahan offense?
Well, first of all, I mean, you have to be somebody who can do everything on the field when you're playing in an offense like I played in, especially from the running back position. And what helped me was the fact that I played wide receiver, I played running back, I did all these things. You know, I even did punt returns and kick returns and stuff in college. So I had all these things on my resume. So I was ready for an offense like that, where you had to block. The number one thing I think that Steve really appreciates me for is the fact that I would block my butt off for him. I didn't want anybody touching my daggone quarterback. That's my you know what I'm saying? That's my man. And you don't touch him. So, you know, I always protected him, especially on the backside when he had to throw, and he's left-handed. So, you know, they would have me going the opposite way that you would normally go for a player. But I would do whatever I had to do. I'd cut down the defensive end. I'd do whatever it takes as far as that. But also, I would understand and know the plays. That's the first thing, man. They want to make sure you know the plays. When you get out there, you know what you're doing. And not only was I adept at understanding and knowing the plays as far as running back, but also they would put me at a flanker position. They would put me at the split end. So they would expect me to act like a split end. If you were out there at the split end position, you are now John Taylor for this play. You know, if you're in the slot, you're Jerry Rice for this play, and so on and so forth. So I learned how to do those things and how to play adequately, doing all the different things, whether it's a route down the field, whether it's a quick route, something that I had to do, a timing route, things of that nature. I worked really hard at being especially a wide receiver. At the wide receiver position, I went out there with Jerry and John. I don't know if you know about the jugs machine, right? They had this jugs machine. They would shoot that thing out. And when I first started, I almost took my head off because I couldn't even catch it. And they would just walk up on it and catch it and keep running. So I had to work on that and get proficient at that before they even thought about me doing all the things that I had to do out there. So it was more than any running back would be asked to do. But at the same time, I loved doing it, and I appreciated that they thought I could do so much, and I was allowed to do so much in that offense.
Ricky, that's awesome because it really kind of leads into the next question. Of all the running backs with 10,000 or more yards rushing, you're actually third all-time in receiving yards per game, behind only Marshall Faulk at 39 per game and Tiki Barber at 33. You know, you said that you played wide receiver, you did punt return. It sounds like you were doing some of that at Notre Dame. Is that what you kind of attribute to your ability to affect the passing game as a running back? Because again, not every running back can do that. And, you know, the Marshall Faulk and Tiki Barber are pretty good company.
Oh yeah, definitely. I love those guys. Actually, I love watching them play. And those are guys that told me that they watched me. They watched footage of me to see how to do that thing. So, you know, I really appreciate that as well. But it goes all the way back to high school with me. I played so many positions. That's why I was number one recruit coming out my senior year, because I could play quarterback. I played quarterback at the time. I played wide receiver. I played defensive back, safety, all these different positions that people wanted me for, different colleges. But to be able to get on a team like the Niners and do that with the players that I was able to play with, that made it even more special because they were awesome. I mean, they were awesome. Obviously, before I got there, they had already won. So they had an awesome team. But once I got there and they saw that I was a baller and I was willing to do whatever it took to be great, they took me through the ringer. I mean, whether we were running that mountain with Jerry, where he was running, they all ran me in the dirt. That one day I was about to throw up. Man, it was a few days, actually. I can't even say one day. It was a few days I was about to throw up out there trying to run with Jerry and all them. But then they would run on the mountain. Then we go to the track. Then we would lift weights. And when we lift weights, man, I mean, we go out there. We obviously some of the guys can lift a lot more than others, but we all go out there pulling our shirts up, acting like we're all Lou Ferrigno or somebody, we're all show you how to live. And the way we pushed each other, it was just an amazing thing to be on that team, to have those great players, for me to be one of them, and welcomed as one of them, and to play like we did, and to all come together like we did. It was a special team. I tell you what, I will put that team up against any team in history, anytime. Yes. We can go. I don't know how you would do that, but I feel like we would fare up well against any team. We had the great players, and we all pushed each other.
I'm gonna ad lib real quick. I have two more questions for you, Ricky. But the first one, you just mentioned kind of all the positions that you played in high school. When you got recruited and you decided on Notre Dame, what position did they recruit you for?
It was for running back.
Okay.
And that's why I went there. So I was like, I expect to play running back, even though I ended up being put at wide receiver and flanker. But eventually I was put back at running back, which I feel like is my position. I love that position. I love the players that played that position. I love Jim Brown. I love Walter Payton, Eric Dickerson. I can go on, Tony Dorsett. Awesome. I can go on and on about the guys that I really loved in the game. And I love Roger Staubach too. I love all these other great players, Len Swan. Like there was a lot of great players that I loved, but none more than the running back position. There was something about that position that I loved. I felt like that was the man's man position. Like if you can play that position, you can play any position out there because you're asked to do so many things, especially in because even in high school, I was in the wing T. So even that, they throw the ball to the back a lot. So I've always been in offenses where they throw the ball to the back a lot. They use me on wide, end arounds, all the screens, the draws, delays and stuff they would give to me. I love that kind of ball. And that's why I love watching the 49ers right now. I mean, when you talk about Ed McCaffrey, this guy came halfway in the season. He showed everything he could do in half a season. And that was a lot. He threw a touchdown. He caught a touchdown, right? He ran. Man, the run he had against the Philadelphia Eagles, I mean, that showed what he's made of right there. And to have Debo, where he can come in and spell these guys, and he can even run. I wouldn't run him that much because we don't want to get that guy hurt. But I love putting the ball in his hands, obviously. And then you talk about Kittle. And those guys. That's somebody else. They can boom. You can do an end around with him. You could do the draws, the delay. You get the ball in his hands. You get a couple guys out there, and with Christian McCaffrey, with those guys. I mean, it's just like, did I say Ed earlier? Because I played with Ed.
Yeah, he played with his dad.
I'm sorry about that. It's my guy.
No worries.
But I love Christian and the way he plays. And I just feel like the way they're used, it's hard to stop this team. It's hard they have so many weapons and they can hit you in so many different angles. And Kyle Shanahan is like a mastermind of using these guys. I love watching them play. I do. And they remind me of how we played because we were kind of that same type of offense where you don't know who's going to get the ball. You don't know where we're going to hit you next and how hard we're going to hit you or if we're going to come we might get a turnover and right the next play, we might go to the bomb and hit Jerry Rice on you. You never know what's going to happen. So I love this team right now. I love the way they play. And I'm looking forward to seeing how they play this year, especially with McCaffrey having been there all year. Now he's going to have a whole off season. Same thing with Brock. No one expected him to be there and have to take this team to where he took them last year was just amazing. But I think he can do even better with another year as long as he heals up and everything's right. Brock Purdy. I think he's going to do well this year.
So you were a part of that last team to win a Super Bowl in San Francisco and after that 94 season. And San Francisco was the team that drafted you. And then you won that Super Bowl. And after that season, you ended up moving on to Philly. One of our writers at the 49ers Web Zone, Mark Adams, put out an article last month. And that article was titled 10 Worst Decisions in 49ers History. And one of those that he put in there was not re-signing you after the 94 season. Was that move? Was that more about business? Was that more about wanting to go with Ray Rhodes to Philly, or what was the deal with that?
No, you're saying it from my end. I could just choose where I wanted to go. If I choose where I wanted to go, we would have won another championship, because that's what I was thinking about. I was thinking about getting paid what I deserve after I proved who I was and what I can do for this team. I think it was time for me to get paid and to get handled like the other players. But instead, I was made a transition player, not a franchise player or anything like that. I would have loved, a transition player. And I was left out there kind of to fend for myself. So that's what I had to do. And actually going to Philadelphia, that was more of a situation where I had other teams that I was scheduled to go see as well. But I only went there because of Ray Rhodes. I respected him. I wanted to show that I respect you as a coach, especially after what I know you had to go through to become, the coaching of this team and all that. I want to make sure I come there and come see you and take you as a serious somewhere that I would actually go because you're coaching there. That's the reason. But I never thought that at that time that's where I would, truthfully end up. I never thought that the 49ers wouldn't match whatever anyone put out there, because I felt like I proved myself, like I said, and I expected to be a 49er at the end of that off season. But I'm fine with things happen the way they have. Obviously, you see, I go to the 49er games. I do, I still care about the team. I still want them to do well. I'm not one of those people who's like, oh, they did me wrong. I understand it's business. And at the end of the day, even if I don't understand it, it was business on their side. There was somebody understood something or thought they understood something. But now with the things that are being said, things that like Steve Young is saying, different people are saying, I appreciate that, because I feel like that's who I am for real. You look at the NFL films. I don't know if you saw that. The NFL Films Presents. I was scared, to even do something like that. And when we had some of the things we were talking about, really personal stuff to me and everything, but I thought they did a great job in such a short period of time to be able to explain it all, kind of what happened, in those situations and everything. But I'm happy they did it the way they did. I think they did a great job, and I'm really proud of that. And I'm proud of my team. Like I said, that I played on, the 49er team that I played on, I put them up against anybody. I'm still close to all my guys. I'm glad that I live out here so I can go to the game, so I can see the guys that I played with, and as well as the coaches who coach me, as well as the guys that are there now who I feel are representing the team very well.
Awesome.
Yeah, and I think that, Ricky, like from the fan base's standpoint, you're beloved, right? Like all that stuff that happened back in the day, like if anybody took any offense to that, it's all under the water. You know what I mean? Like anytime your name comes up in our conversations with fans or anybody like that, it's always positive memories, right? I know certainly that's my favorite 49er team, right? It's the one that you played on and won a Super Bowl on. And funny story, you like the swagger that you had, the way that you wore your helmet, man. I wore a do-rag on the playground because of you, right? Like
That's
it was
what's
like,
up.
you know what I mean? Like you inspired me. Like I had the same helmet. I wore the same gloves. Like when I played football. So I think that like just knowing that you have that impact on the fan base and people, that's kind of resonated throughout the years. And I want to throw some stats out to our listeners. So Ricky, you are the all-time leading rusher in terms of yards per game for the Philadelphia Eagles in their franchise's history. You're top 3 in the Seattle Seahawks franchise history in yards per game, and you're top 5 in the 49ers franchise history in yards per game. You put together a damn good career, man. Like it is
Wow,
Hall of Fame worthy.
appreciate
And
it.
I think that's one of the things that people may not realize, right? Is that you were here for seemingly a short period of time, but you accomplished a lot. Like you had 700 yards receiving in 94 as a running back, right? And to me, like the 2 plays that stick out to me from that season weren't rushing plays from you. They were the swing pass that you caught for a touchdown in the championship game from Steve Young. And it was the Super Bowl touchdown pass that you caught right at the beginning of the game. And to me, that showed what type of player that you were. And you know, the question I have for you is how would you, now that you've been removed from your playing years, how do you like being remembered? Do you like being remembered as the guy that did everything, like you said earlier in the show, like blocking and catching and running? Do you like being remembered as a champion, or is it just a combination of those things?
Yeah, well, the most important thing is that my teammates love me. You know, they show me so much love wherever I go. When I go to Seattle, it's all love. When I go to Philly, it's all love. And it's obviously all love with the 49ers because we're really close, you know, that especially that championship team. Like I said, man, we can call each other and ask for anything, and guys know, yo, I'm there for you. We're always gonna be brothers because of that. And so when I look at it, man, it's like being a champion. Of course, we all want to be champions, and that is what we all strive for. But we also want to be liked, you know what I mean? And we also want to be on a good team where it's like we felt like we could make our mark. And each team, I was really close to the players, you know, and I'm really close to them. And like what people don't know is like when I was on the Philadelphia team, I was the captain of that team. When I was in Seattle, I was the captain of that team, and that's voted on by your teammates. So that means a lot to me, just as much as any other accolade somebody could give me is for my teammates to vote me, you know, and even the MVP awards that I won, those were voted on by my teammates. And that was also in Philadelphia and in Seattle. So it's like great things happened for me at the 49ers, and a lot of them were more visible because the Super Bowl obviously and bigger, you know, it was bigger games and stuff. But a lot of great things in my book happened to me with the Eagles and Seattle as well.
Ricky, before we finish up, I wanted to go back to the NFL Films Presents About You. Just when you're watching that, how special is that? Just was it emotional just to sit back and listen? Like you talked about your teammates, and here they are in the special talking about how important you were. Can you just talk about what emotions go through you when you sit back and actually watch something like that?
Yeah, because what is good about it is that now I'm seeing something that is real to me, you know, because I lived it, of course, but it's real to me. And then I'm looking at it, I'm like, now the guys can see. Like if somebody didn't understand, or if even fans didn't understand, or they, you know, people like to say, you know, I was misunderstood in different things, and I feel like I was in different ways, that they see this and go, oh no, okay, that's why, or this is what he's about, or no, he's really a family man. You know, all these things that it showed. I was really happy about that because that is who I am. And I love my family and spending time with them, and just to be able to show that even to young people out there, we're not supermen. You know, it's like everyone, oh, he's super, he does no wrong. Nah, you know, I did wrong. I made mistakes. I was vulnerable. I cry. You know, when I watched that, I cry. I've cried every single time I've watched it.
Yeah.
So it's crazy. And I cry at different points in it because it means so much to me, and the things that are being said and the things that I know are so real. And now people can see me, you know, for the person that I truly am, and what things I truly went through and what I was really thinking at the time. And, you know, just if you're gonna judge me, you know, hopefully you don't judge me. We don't judge each other, but I know you'll be judged. So it's like, judge me on that.
Awesome.
It was an honor. Thank you so much.
Ricky, thanks so much for your time.
Thank you so much, man. Thank you, Ricky. Wow.
Guys, if you told the 12-year-old me we were going to interview Ricky Waters, that's pretty crazy. So that was
so cool.
That was a pretty cool moment. So that was great.